All right, everyone, we have good news. Link in the description, archived, of course. According to some polling services, it looks like Donald Trump's approval is actually steadily rising. That is, that it's almost gotten back to the 50% mark. Now, for this to be accomplished, of course, after a lull, which there was, and that's in aggregate polling, we're not using singular polls. After a lull there, it's begun going back up. That means that Trump is doing something that the public is enjoying. I have a feeling that he has a considerable mandate with regards to his big, beautiful bill and things along those lines. Of course, Biden got his infrastructure bill, which drove inflation through the roof. Donald Trump's bill is trying to, in part, rein that in. Obviously, one of these things I'm for, and one of these things I was consistently against. There's a reason for that. It's called understanding basic math. It's called understanding basic economics. If you understand basic economics, you cannot be a leftist because you'll realize that it is wrong. So Donald Trump is ramming things through as quickly as possible. And some of them are more popular than others, of course. His diplomatic efforts with the Middle East, he did a sort of a tour of the Middle East. That seems to have buoyed him up. His idea about, restraining aid to Ukraine because we don't need to be involved with the fucking war anymore. Especially when we talk about what Zelensky said the other day later. Yeah, another video of the day. That seems to be relatively popular, except among people with certain flags in their bio on Twitter. Otherwise, generally as a rule, good. So he's done some things that are popular, and the problem for the legacy media and for liberal politicians is that they keep trying to astroturf the idea that Donald Trump is unpopular. Um, match his approval up to where Biden was. I think that there is no matchup to be had. It's sort of like going to a golf course and one person keeps getting eagles and birdies and the other person keeps getting double bogeys. That's basically the polling situation that we see right now. This is, by the way, great news for Republicans. The Democrats were hoping that Donald Trump would screw up, especially within his first 100 days, and that he would alienate himself from the public, and they could build upon that. Because they do not have their own actual platform, other than whatever AOC peddles on a daily basis, mostly alcohol, I suppose. Because they don't have their own platform and they don't really have a leader, they have to count on Trump screwing up in order to fuck over whoever comes next, which will presumptively be JD Vance, although it could be somebody else. That's the problem. Trump hasn't messed up. He hasn't screwed the pooch. He's actually rising right now in popularity. Well, that's going to be a little bit of a problem because if he solidifies that support, it is going to be very, very difficult to pull it away. It's going to be very, very difficult in the next election, let alone potentially the midterms, although, don't. I wouldn't put it past the congressional Republicans to screw themselves. They're already at risk of doing so with regards to the big, beautiful bill and many other things because they tend to be just, I don't know, they're just wasted on amphetamines all the time, I suppose, and they don't even know whether they're voting yay or nay half the time. Donald Trump, though, is a teetotaler, so he does a little bit better. At the executive level, the Republicans are definitely they're kicking it out of the park almost. The problem really is with the congressional Republicans. If they can get their ass in order, and if Donald Trump doesn't fuck up majorly, I believe that the Republicans will win the midterms. But we're not far into the administration, so we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be a long haul, so to speak. But his approval is rising. Its lull appears to already be over. This is abnormal for a presidency. Normally, president shoots out, and then they go down, and then they just sort of stagnate. With Donald Trump in his first term, that did begin to happen, and he had to work his way back up. this time it doesn't seem that he really has much work to actually get back to that sweet spot where at least in the upper 40s. That is far beyond anything that Biden accomplished, by the way. I can't remember what Biden was at this point in his administration, but I don't think it was the upper 40s. No, I don't think it was near 50. His good moments towards the end of his one-term administration were when he hit 40. That was basically the limit for old Joe, which doesn't surprise me since the economy got completely wrecked and he had no idea what he was doing. Um, Joe Biden was down there at times. He was at, I think, 36, 37, somewhere around there, the mid 30s, basically. Uh, he managed to get down that low. Donald Trump didn't even get that low during the lockdown risk period. When he shed double digits of support, he was still above where Joe Biden was at multiple points in his presidency. Let that sink in. So I have a feeling that Donald Trump is going to do better generally, not just with polling, but in general, in the ideological sense, the policy sense, better in his second administration than in the first administration. I have great hopes for him. I think that he'll do well, generally speaking. That's about all. Peace out.